a tale, let it be told. On a Friday, wearing a Monday's temper, the sun pinned a Manfro Ring Road to the earth like a seamstress pinning cloth. A man in a faded kente collared shirt parked beneath a neem set his hazard lights flashing and lifted his boot to reveal a jack, a triangle, and the patience of old rivers. A patrol pickup slid up. Blue light coughing self-importance. An officer stepped out with the swagger of a rooster on borrowed dawn. He looked the man from hair to heel and found not a crime, but a story he thought he could edit. Hey you? The officer called, tongue resting lazily on assumption. Show ID, this area has activities. The man shut his boot, wiped his hands on a cloth the color of honesty, and said softly, "Good afternoon, Sergeant. My name is Ebo Quay. What's your lawful reason for the stop?" The drum hiding inside the gavel of the city, an old hubcap nailed to a kiosk, tapped once. Watch the stop, watch the man, watch the badge behind the badge. Last market day, the Independent Policing Board swore in a new field ombudsman, a role made from stubborn wood and public tears. The ombudsman's first assignment, Shadow Stop's audit, to test how officers greet, explain, and release ordinary people. The ombudsman worked without siren, wore no uniform, carried a reason card, and answered only to the law and the grandmother who taught him to count respect like cowries. His name, sealed in a leather wallet with a sun-worn crest, was Ebo Quay. He preferred to be mistaken for nobody until somebody made a mistake worth learning from. If this tale meets you by the roadside, let it travel. Like to oil the drum, share with one person who has been stopped by posture instead of law, and comment your city plus time so the next part finds your street before old habits do. Bring your ears, sit them down like calabashes at a naming. The road hummed its usual gossip. Trotro horns bargaining with goats, hawkers auctioning pineapple like joy in slices, dust writing its name on passing cars. Under the neem, Ebo had done the safe things. Triangle out, hood cool, hands visible. He'd even placed a small stone behind a tire the way elders wedge a stubborn story. Sergeant Kwaku Danso arrived wearing day-old certainty. His partner, Corporal Larte, lingered near the tailgate. The look of a man who has learned that quiet saves paperwork. Their pickup idled like a drummer testing skins. ID, Danso repeated, waving his chin in the direction of Ebo's pocket as if a chin were a warrant. "We've had thefts. You fit the description." What description is that?" Ebo asked, voice calm enough to cool tea. "Height, shirt, skin that arrives before my name." Danso snorted. "Don't try grammar. People come here to strip cars. You're fiddling with a vehicle." Ebo pointed at his triangle. "I'm repairing a vehicle by the book." He reached slowly for his wallet and before opening it held up a laminated card the size of courtesy. Front, "Good afternoon. I am banned from radio or station. I'm stopping you because you may record. Do consent to a search. Back. You have the right to a stop receipt. You may ask for a supervisor. You may ask if you're free to go." Danso laughed the way tin roofs laugh at light rain. "What is that? A Facebook law?" "We are not in America," Ebo nodded. "We are in Almanfro. The stop and search directive 12B is ours. It says greet, reason, boundary, receipt, release. If you're invoking a search, say it. If you're detaining, say it. If I'm free to go, say it." Corporal Larte shifted, eyes flicking to the dash cam. They had one, long asleep, facing the horizon like a prophet who prefers sunsets to work. He tucked his mouth into silence. He knew 12B. He also knew the sergeant's pride was a dog that bit both intruders and owners. "Stand over here," Danso said, planting his boot on the painted median as if to claim geography. He reached for Ebo's elbow, hands visible, moving to my left pocket, taking out my wallet, Ebo narrated, so the air in the future could hear. He held the wallet out, not open. "Before I give you this, Sergeant, articulate your suspicion. Record your name and badge for my stop receipt." "We don't do receipts on the roadside," Danso scoffed. "This isn't a supermarket." "Exactly," Ebo said. "In supermarkets, coins buy bread. On roadsides, trust buys peace. Receipts are how trust keeps books." A small crowd approached the way crowds do, pretending to be 3 people until they are 10. A cocoa seller, Auntie Mansa, set her pot on a low stool and watched with the eyes of someone who had seen policemen grow old and laws grow teeth. Two trotro drivers parked just enough to interfere with traffic and justify a lecture later. A schoolchild, shoelaces untied, held up a mother's phone like a cautious bird. Danso planted his palm in Ebo's chest, a push more insult than force. "Cooperate," he said. "You people like to quote. Quote your father when you sleep at home. Here I am law." Ebo did not step back. "On this strip of public, law is text that you carry. It is not your feelings." He glanced at Corporal Larte. "Corporal, your station?" Larte cleared his throat. "North Ridge." "Call your watch commander," Ebo said, still calm. "If you're right, he will clap for you. If you're not, he will correct you before the correction grows court teeth." "Oh, what?" Danso sneered. "You'll post me on the internet or let them type? They'll forget by tomorrow." "I don't work for forgetting," Ebo replied. "I work for policy." He opened the wallet. Inside, next to a driver's license faded by duty, sat a narrow leather fold with a sun-softened crest. He did not thrust it forward like a sword. He let the crest sleep for one more minute. First, he raised his phone, not to threaten, to document. "Recording," he said aloud. "I am Ebo Quay. I'm on Ring Road under the Neem. I've been asked for ID. I've requested a lawful reason. I'm asking again. Sergeant Danso, what is your reason?" The sergeant, not used to microphones that don't obey him, chose the oldest refuge of a shaky stool. He raised his voice. "You people think you are clever," Auntie Mansa clucked. "When men shout at numbers, numbers don't change," she murmured, loud enough for a proverb to earn its food. Traffic slowed. The Ring Road listened. In the distance, thunder rehearsed. "Rain loves drama." A motorbike cut through the pause. Then a second pickup arrived. Northridge Watch Commander, ASP, Assistant Superintendent, Ophelia Kumi, stepping out with a face that could boil water and soft-boil pride without spilling either. She took in the triangle, the Neem, the crowd, the dash cam asleep. The sergeant's elbows making claims his training did not authorize. "Report," she said. "Suspicious male," Danso barked. He fits description, refused ID, citing internet laws. "Did you greet?" she asked. "State your reason? Offer a stop receipt?" He made a sound like a stuck door. "We don't carry those cards." "You carry your mouth," she replied. "Use it in order." Ebo, who had waited the way rain waits for roofs to stop boasting, opened the leather fold at last. He handed it to her with two hands, the way people hand over newborns and verdicts. The crest blinked awake. Independent Policing Board, Field Ombudsman, Public Encounters, Ebo Quay. The crowd inhaled. Corporal Larte's eyes changed season. Officer Danso's shoulders performed mathematics and lost. "I am conducting a shadow stops audit under Directive 12B," Ebo said mildly, as if reading a shopping list. "Today's audit points are greeting, reason, boundary, receipt, release. We have failed 3. He turned to the sergeant, and his voice remained made of cloth, not stone. "Sergeant, this is your invitation, not your punishment." Auntie Mansa raised her ladle toward the sky. "Hey, badge inside a badge. I told you there are more chiefs than hats." The watch commander's jaw unclenched. She looked at Ebo a second longer than protocol requires, because relief is also a rank. "We can fix this now," she said. "If the road will allow a little classroom." The road, which had seen worse theater, granted a stage. They began with hello. The watch commander pulled a folded orange mat from the back of her pickup, the kind used at first aid trainings and forgotten afterward. She laid it on the asphalt under the Neem. "When we forget our order," she said, "we stand on the mat of courtesy until the words return." She gestured to the crowd. Citizens, witnesses, teachers, all. The rain sniffed and decided to nap. Even thunder respects curriculum. Ebo nodded his thanks. "Sergeant, step onto the mat with me." His tone had no spice of victory. He wasn't there to win. He had come to knit. "Let's practice the 7 threads of a clean stop." He held up the reason card. On the back, in thick ink, a taxi driver could read at 40 km/h. Lay an order older than uniforms. 1. Greet and name. "Good afternoon. I am Sergeant Kwaku Danso of North Ridge." 2. State reason in law. "I'm stopping you because, quote, statute, policy, bolo." 3. Set boundary. "For safety, please stand here. You may record." 4. Ask or order. I am asking for consent to search. You they refuse. I am ordering a search because lawful cause. 5. Stop receipt. You will receive a receipt with my name and badge. 6. Supervisor option. You may request a supervisor. 7. Release. If we are done, I will say, you're free to go. Now, Ebo said, you try. Sergeant Danso shifted, eyes skating between pride and the edge of the mat. The crowd did not jeer. The crowd held its breath the way people do when a baby tries first steps and the old path to family dignity runs through the toddler's knees. Good afternoon, he began, voice unfamiliar with apology but willing to rent it. I am Sergeant Kwaku Danso of North Ridge. He hesitated. I am stopping you because his eyes asked the sky for a statute. The sky pretended to check its calendar. Because you observed a vehicle stationary on the shoulder, Ebo prompted gently, and recent thefts of hubcaps were reported. That's reasonable suspicion to engage, not to accuse. Yes, Danso recovered. I observed your vehicle and recent reports suggest thefts. For safety, stand here. You may record. The words warmed as they crossed his teeth. I am asking to look in your boot. Do you consent? No, Ebo said cheerfully. And now our friendship remains intact because you did not pretend my no is an insult. There was a ripple of laughter that did not bite anyone. A schoolchild giggled on time. Receipt, Ebo said. Danso swallowed. You will receive a stop receipt with my name and badge. And if we're done, you are free to go. The mat accepted the steps. The neem nodded shade. The road remembered less anger. Watch Commander Kumi signaled to Corporal Latte. Fetch the stop receipts from the glove box. We printed them. We treat them like fancy napkins. Latte jogged, returned with a thin pad. He tore one, handed it to Ebo. A plain, honest rectangle. Date, time, location, reason, outcome, badge, signature, space at the bottom. How did we do? Ebo filled the witness half, tore his copy, pocketed it. Receipts don't erase harm. They create accounting for dignity. Now, Ebo said, turning to the crowd, you will think today's about embarrassing a man who forgot his lines. It is not. It is about putting the lines where forgetting must step over them. Auntie Mansa raised her ladle like a baton. Let us sing them! They did. Children repeated greed and name. Drivers chanted state reason and law. Hawkers bellowed set boundary. University students filmed ask or order. Trotro mates enjoyed receipt like a chorus. They could clap too, someone's grandfather interrupted with supervisor because elders love administration when it protects their grandchildren. And finally, like the end of a good hymn, you are free to go. The watch commander's radio crackled subtle disapproval at the street turning into a workshop. She clicked it off for 5 minutes. The city can wait while the city repairs itself. Sergeant, she said, voice turning private without lowering, you will come to the station after this. You will write what you forgot and why. Then you will teach the mat to younger officers. Punishment without instruction is just anger wearing a wig. Danso's neck found a new posture. It wasn't pride. It was weight accepted. They moved to the station like a small procession. Watch commanders pick up leading, patrol truck following, Ebo's hazard lights off, triangle stowed, auntie's cocoa pot on a mate's head because business must also learn from policy. Along the way, a student ran ahead with chalk and wrote on the asphalt, greet reason, boundary, receipt, release at 2 intersections. Those words would fade later under tires, but the dust would carry their memory into shop floors and tailgate arguments. At the station, Ebo asked for a corner. Corporal Latte brought a bench. Auntie Mansa appointed the bench a name. Bench of courtesy, she declared, and the station lacked the courage to disagree. Ebo produced a small plaque from his bag. He'd had it made by a woodcarver in Cedar Row who liked law when it wore proverbs. He screwed it to the bench back with the watch commander's multi-tool. The words went in deep so rain would fail to file them down. Respect before instruction, instruction before force. Then he opened his leather folder and slid out the audit log. He filled the line, stopped down 14, Ring Road Neem, Sergeant K. Danso, reason not stated, boundary not set, refusal of receipt, correction on site, supervised completion, public instruction delivered, outcome, no search, citizen released, remedial training scheduled. The drum inside the station Plain wood that had learned to hold secrets made a sound like a suppressed smile. "Sergeant," Ebo said, "your apology is not the main course. It is the receipt the crowd would take home to teach their nephews how to survive pride. Yours and theirs. Speak to it." Danso stood, hat in both hands, fingers kneading brim. I was trained in a season where results excused order," he said, eyes somewhere near his boots. "Today I learned that order produces better results. I saw a man and knowed his triangle. I saw a shirt and knowed his name. That is not policing. That is laziness with a siren." He swallowed. "I am sorry. I will do better." A silence sat down and decided to stay. It was not the silence of fear. It was the silence of repair taking measurements. Watch Commander Kumi nodded. "Write it," she said. "Put it in the log. And tomorrow teach the young ones the mat before you teach them the baton." A junior officer in the back, PC Ajoa Mensima, fresh out of academy, eyes full of why, raised a hand. Sir, madam, if a person refuses a search and we have no cause, but our gut says trouble, feed your gut rice, not rights," Ebo said gently. "Your gut protects you. The law protects us all. If your gut is wise, it will bring you facts. If it cannot, it must wait." "But what if refusal becomes crowd?" PC Ajoa asked, the honest fear of someone whose mother watches 10 p.m. news. "Boundary controls crowds," the watch commander replied. "Language does too. Use orders like surgery, not like rain." Auntie Mansa banged her ladle on the bench. Someone bring paper. The aunties will learn receipt today. Next time a boy with new mustache tries to toss us into his pocket, we will ask for supervisor option like school fees." Laughter loose in the air. A radio caller claimed a chicken theft 2 blocks away. Life resumed its petty agenda. Before Ebo left, Danso approached him, face tucking head into humility without shedding its structure. "Sir, your badge. Why hide it until after I prove my ignorance?" "Because the badge behind the badge is not the crest," Ebo said softly. "It is service. If I flash metal, you straighten your back for the wrong reason. If I carry order without shouting, you learn why backs should straighten at all." "And if I'd stubborn to the end?" Danso asked. "Then the pen would teach what the mat failed," Ebo answered. "But even pen must be preceded by respect." They shook hands, both palms open. The bench watched. Benches remember. 2 Sundays later, a Manfro hosted Open Street Day. The kind where roads become playgrounds and loans of forgiveness are repaid by bicycles. The city blocked a stretch of ring road. Stalls unfurled. Legal aid soup. Record your rights. Ushers teaching phone settings so recordings don't tremble like goats. Stop receipt printing. A loaner 10 from the court clerk who knows laminators better than nephews. And the mat of courtesy, now large enough for a circle dance. The bench of courtesy had multiplied. One at North Ridge, another down at Old Wharf, a third outside the magistrate's court. Each bore a carved proverb: respect before instruction, instruction before force. Wood is an honest preacher. It never boasts and never forgets. The watch commander opened the day with sleeves rolled and smiled unafraid. "Today," she said, "we practice the stops we brag about." She gestured to the mat. "Volunteers?" A line formed faster than bread. A taxi driver nicknamed Teacher insisted on playing officer first. He greeted, he stated his reason. "Your brake light is preaching silence. Please fix its testimony." He set boundary, he offered receipt, he released with dramatic flair. Children clapped. An old man in a hat declared, "If officers spoke like that, my pressure would retire." At noon, the mayor's liaison arrived with a folder that wasn't looking for applause. "We bring Directive 12B, revised. Stop receipts mandatory. Mat of courtesy at each station. Quarterly audits led by the Independent Policing Board." She held up a page. "The 7 threads printed in Twi Gea Yue and the English that your uncle uses to impress funerals. We will fund mats and benches," she said. "We will pay in wood, not just words." A cheer braided with skepticism. "The city is old. It counts promises by their fingerprints." Ebo stepped forward and raised both hands. Not to quiet, to receive with modesty. "Oh, this is not a crown," he said. "It is a receipt. Keep it, use it, return it stamped." Then reality, that friend who tests whether you watered your seeds, arrived wearing the face of a panic. A call crackled. A motorbike accident 2 blocks away. Officers sprinted. People surged, phones first, then feet. Matt of courtesy training sprinted after its graduates. Sergeant Danso, different than 2 Fridays ago by measurable inches of tone, arrived first. "Good afternoon," he announced to Adrenaline. He set boundary with arms like a shepherd, not a wall. "For safety, please stand behind the tape. You may record. Medics need space. Ma'am, can you step onto this chalk line? Thank you." He did not snatch a single phone. He did not demand quiet from grief. Adja knelt by the injured rider, voice like bandage. "Naheem, where does it hurt?" A medic nodded. A stretcher learned choreography with asphalt. A man tried to push past the tape, panic spelling brotherhood in every breath. "That is my cousin," he cried. Danso put a palm to the man's shoulder, contact that behaved like language, not grip. "I'll believe you," he said. "Stand here. Record for him. I will bring you news. Record for him." The words landed where anger had planned a violent picnic. The man's chest unclenched. When the ambulance left, the crowd did what crowds rarely do. They thanked officers with claps that sounded like relief learning harmony. Not because nobody bled, because nobody bruised who did not need to. Back under the neem, Auntie Mansa ladled cocoa, the spoon scolding anyone who tried to skip a cue. "Even miracles respect line," she told a boy who wanted to become soup without becoming patient. The mayor's liaison returned, this time with a camera that asked permission and a small wooden box. Inside, a writ of thanks. "Rare honest ink," she read. "To Field Ombudsman Abo Quay and North Ridge Patrol for knitting policy into practice, for placing respect before instruction, instruction before force, for inventing the mat of courtesy and the bench that remembers." She handed Abo the writ. He took it as one takes a child left on a doorstep. Seriously, with plans for breakfast, Sergeant Danso stepped forward, not in parade rest, not in apology, in acknowledgement. He removed his cap, folded it against his chest, and lifted his right hand in a civic salute, palm open, fingers unarmed. The gesture said, "I recognize your real rank." "Mr. Ombudsman," he said, voice without varnish, "profiled the wrong man. The badge behind your badge taught me the badge behind mine. It is not metal, it is service. I salute that." Phones rose, not as weapons, as witnesses. Somewhere, a blog miscaptioned it by calling Ebo undercover boss. The city, which knows the difference between boss and father, corrected the caption and comments with emojis and small wars. But the picture traveled, and with it the sentence carved in wood. The Independent Policing Board chairwoman, a woman who coaxed numbers to behave with tone alone, approached Ebo. "We are expanding shadow stops to 3 districts," she said. "We will need mats, benches, and aunties who wield ladles like gavels." "Aunties we have," Ebo smiled. "Mats and benches we can buy. But the badge behind the badge, that we must grow in hearts." Toward evening, clouds decided to be generous. The first fat drops smacked dust into perfume. People didn't run. They covered the bench of courtesy with a plastic sheet, patted the plaque twice as if telling a child bedtime, and finished their soup. The rain grew serious, and so did the day's quiet. Ebo sat on the bench alone for a minute. Some honors require solitude to fit properly. He touched the carved sentence. In his mind, he saw his grandmother tacking him to cloth with tiny invisible stitches. "Make it neat where they will never look," she told him. That is character. Watch Commander Kumi joined him, rain braiding her hair into humility. "You move slow," she said, "and the city moves with you. I am grateful." "Slowness is also a siren," he said. "It lets people keep their dignity while they change." "Will you come teach at Academy?" she asked. "New recruits should learn math before March." "I will teach," he answered, "but make them teach me first. What they fear, where they fail, the bench records both." Before they parted, Auntie Mansa slapped 2 steaming packets into their hands. "Take," she ordered. "Policy burns calories." Night arrived gentle as a grandmother's lap. The bench of courtesy drank rain the way wood drinks, slowly like a lesson. The mat dried in the guardroom, smelling faintly of new rules and old sweat. On the station wall, the audit log waited for ink. Corporal Larte clicked the dash cam on and whispered to its red light, "Stay awake." And somewhere on Ring Road, under a different tree, another officer faced another man who resembled a problem until words rearranged him back into a neighbor. The mat, imaginary or real, was there under their feet. A tale, let it be told. The telling is finished. The courtesy will continue the work.